Hold your breath. Make a wish. Count to 3.
Come with me, Curtis.
And you'll be in a world of pure imagination.
Let's take a look at you.
And you'll
Hungry?
see into your imagination.
I recently watched a video that blew my mind. It was released by the people at Rhino Stew and explained how Snowpiercer is a sequel to Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It's a film theory they've called Wonkapiercer.
Say what?
It sounds far-fetched, I know, but I enjoyed their video so much I ended up watching both movies again, and I noticed so many other details that I am convinced this theory is true. So I thought I would make a video to share with you all just how far this Wonkapiercer tunnel goes.
Hang on, where are we going?
I don't know, but I don't like to look at that tunnel up there.
A tunnel?
A fucking long one.
Okay, the interactive section. I'm going to be referencing the original video a lot throughout this, so click the icon to watch if you haven't already. It's a lot of fun. Or I've made a 1-minute summary of that video which begins when the timer runs out, so you can just stay exactly where you are and do nothing, or skip ahead if you want to get straight to the juicy bit. Snowpiercer shows Charlie Bucket as an adult. He inherited Wonka's empire, branding style, and first name of Wilford. Using Wonka's knowledge he learned of food production and experimental transportation, he builds the Snowpiercer as an ark for humanity when the entire world freezes. He makes a plan with this spy, sending messages in bars of brown food, which causes a group of people to travel through his fantastic structure, getting eliminated one by one until one person is left who is chosen to be the rich industrialist's successor. He gets to inherit a food factory.
I'm Mike TV. Well,
Yeah, he now works for Charlie, says the theory. And this woman who likes to go first is a future Veruca Salt.
I want to go in first before anybody else.
What about the Oompa Loompas though?
All of Wonka's prior transportation technology was operated by Oompa Loompas. It was operated by tiny people.
The space only allows for a very small person. The engine lasts forever, but not so all of its parts. That piece of equipment went extinct recently.
There's more in the video I've left out about themes of self-sacrifice and destiny and stuff, but you get the gist. Anyway, it inspired me to dig deeper into two of my all-time favourite movies, so here's what I've discovered.
Goggles on, please.
Lights, camera, action!
The first interesting thing I noticed happens right near the beginning of Snowpiercer. Watch out for something in the shot.
When it's emanating around the place.
Curtis, is this it?
It's not it.
Right. No,
Did you see it? Look closely.
around the place.
Curtis?
This is the second time Curtis's name is spoken. According to the Wonkapiercer theory, Curtis in this film represents...
Charlie Bucket.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's a big old bucket right above his head. And what's cool is it actually only appears when his name is spoken. Watch it slowly. Next line comes in and it's out of the shot. It's gone. Now, either that's one hell of a coincidence, or it's a bit of cheeky cinematic signposting from director Bong Joon-ho.
This is kind of strange.
Yeah, strange, Charlie, but it's fun.
Let's have a look at some of the design elements in the films. The Rhino Stew video talks about how Veruca Salt and Mason both wear fur coats. I think the colour shift from white to off yellowish is significant, and I will return to this point later.
2.
Look at the two jackets worn by Curtis and Wonka, particularly the overall shape and the double-pointed lapel. Did one of Wonka's old jackets make it to the back of the train?
3.
Have a look at this guy's hat. Does it ring a bell? Also, Clark Middleton, the actor who plays this role, is 5'3". I mean, he's not a tall man, just saying.
4. Look at me.
It seems like Wilford follows after his grandpa Joe and really likes rocking the daytime pyjama look in his later life.
5. Curtis, dear boy. Come in.
Aside from the fact that Wonka also addresses Charlie specifically as
My dear boy.
there's something that interests me on one of the shelves here. Excuse the image quality, but what exactly is this? It looks to me like a very old faded scarf. Perhaps this one.
It's terrific.
We each knitted a bit. Grandma Georgina, Grandma Josephine, and me.
I did the end pieces with the little tassels.
Charlie is wearing this scarf the first time he ever meets Wonka. And there it is in the shot when Curtis first meets Wilford. Coincidence?
6.
And on the subject of Wilford, don't you think his cabin furnishings look a lot like chocolate bars? Convinced yet? What if I were to tell you that I think the parallels between the two movies extend even into the soundtrack? You'll recognise this 3-note melody when I play it. It's used in the opening title sequence. You also hear it at the end of the movie as the Wonkavator flies through the sky. It is, of course, the opening notes of that iconic song, Pure Imagination.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination.
Well, guess what? You can also find it in Snowpiercer. Here it is 30 seconds before we cut to credits. Listen. Cool, huh? It's even in almost exactly the same tempo in both final scenes. It's used in various key places, but often with a subtle twist to make it a bit more dissonant and edgy. Here it is at the climax, with a little semitone tweak to make it a bit more post-apocalyptic. You hear this distorted version again when the truth about Gideon is revealed.
He was more than a partner, really. He was my friend.
Bullshit. I don't believe you.
There's a faster reworking of it in the moment after Curtis decides to break through the gates. You'll have to trust me, but that riff is completely based around a minor version of those 3 notes. Ryan Stu put forward a hypothetical timeline, which to my mind is not quite right. The events in Snowpiercer take place in 2031, which is 60 years after 1971, which would mean that Charlie Bucket or Wilford is meant to be in his mid-70s. In that case, how old is Gideon? Like 90 plus? It feels a bit arbitrary to me, and I think there's a simpler way of explaining it. In 1964, Roald Dahl's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was first published. In 2014, Snowpiercer was released in the US, and in the film the CW7 gas is released, which freezes the world. A 50-year gap. If you Google how old the actors were when they portrayed Charlie and Wilford, like I did, it's also a 50-year gap. I can imagine Bong Joon-ho, who was also the screenwriter, thinking along the lines of tell the story of Charlie 50 years on from the film, release the film in time for the 50-year anniversary of the book. Was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory also set in the future then? Like Snowpiercer, the world of imagination displayed would also have defied expectation. At the start of Snowpiercer, we learn that the gas that froze the world was called CW7.
Mr. Wilford knew that CW7 would freeze the world. So what did the prophetic Mr. Wilford invent to protect the chosen from that calamity?
My question is, how did Wilford know? What if it was because he invented it? The gas is called CW7. It could have been called anything, but if this Wonkapiercer theory is true, then maybe it stands for Charlie Wonka 7? Perhaps he kept his first name for a while.
Mixed together in the right way, these 3 highly dangerous ingredients make the finest wart remover in the world.
How do you remove warts? By freezing them. So maybe the 7 here stands for... The film talks a lot about the Frozen Seven, or the Revolt of the Seven.
What? There they are. That's how far they made it.
From time to time, we've had to stir the pot, so to speak. The revolt of the Seven. There have been times when more radical solutions were required, when the population needed to be reduced rather drastically.
Did he freeze the Seven because he in fact froze the world? And why is the Snowpiercer designed so effectively to this environment? I wonder how much Charlie was affected by growing up with Wonka as a father figure. Wonka's a recluse. He seems to despise most people and is clearly a bit insane. Did Wilford change the world so he could travel in a world of his creation? Well, it's a theory, right? Many elements of Curtis's narrative directly mirror Charlie's, although not necessarily in the same chronological order. Let's rewalk Charlie's journey. He starts in a poor background where people have to share bed space, and obsesses over a mysterious man who lives behind a gate. He's always thinking about food, but he is close friends with an old man who he confides to at night. He receives a special message, which he gives to the old man to read. They travel together to an entrance, then have a violent journey through a series of doorways. A giant door slowly opens, and they find themselves in a room full of strange plants and things to eat. Someone gets their body stuck in a tube, and things start looking ominous when they approach a tunnel.
Turn it around, Wonka!
I think I'm gonna be sick. I can take it, Joker.
Wonka, this has gone far enough. Quite right, sir. Stop the boat.
We're there.
Stop! Stop, everybody! Drop your weapons! Everybody stop!
Our hero's next stop is a room full of strange pipes and machinery. He finds conveyor belts full of things to eat and a food machine which uses live insects. Charlie and his grandpa break away from the group and share an uplifting conversation, but Charlie is worried about losing his arm. He finds himself in a room full of eggs, where Veruca gets her comeuppance.
She was a bad egg. The egg decatur can tell the difference between a good egg and a bad egg.
Monsieur.
On his journey, he encounters dancers, a train, and poultry. I like these scenes where everything is in monochrome with this sort of haziness in the air. I also like that it's the same colour shift we saw for Veruca's coat. For me, it's symbolic of the tonal shift between the two movies. Childishness to violent post-apocalyptic carnage. It's the difference between Mike TV getting split up into little pieces and this guy just getting split. Would you like another cool musical moment? The song you hear at this point was famously featured in Kubrick's The Shining, but have a close listen to the lyrics, or sing along if you like. You see what I'm getting at here? The moment he dies, the word sweet is sung. Okay, he comes back later, but this sort of precision in the editing is really not accidental. To round off this section, our hero has a conversation with the mysterious inventor. He's taken to an antechamber of extraordinary technology.
This is the great glass Wonkavator.
The eternal engine.
He then learns 3 key things.
I can't go on forever.
I am old.
So the factory's yours, Charlie. You can move in immediately.
I want you to take my station. It's what you always wanted.
Don't forget what happened to the man who suddenly got everything he always wanted.
What happened?
He lived happily ever after.
Nice.
So why in Snowpiercer does Curtis not get to live happily ever after? If you'll stick with me, I have a final theory about the film which might explain it. It's a bit far out, but I think it's the logical conclusion of this Wonkapiercer idea. You may not know this, but Charlie Bucket was originally meant to be black. Roald Dahl, the author, was persuaded to change this by his publisher, but that was how the character was first imagined. With this in mind, consider Timmy in Snowpiercer.
Timmy!
Sweetie, come down.
He also gets a bit of signposting, but think about it. He is the one who first finds the message in the food bar. He's one of the few people taken beyond the gates. He goes through a very dangerous journey at the whim of an older man.
That I had to find a child.
Thank goodness the tail section manufactures a steady supply of kids.
He's literally lifted up out of poverty. And at the end of the story, he is free. At least he gets to inherit a food factory, or the remains of a food factory. The ending is ambiguous. Either it's death for everyone by freezing, starvation, or polar bear, or I like to hope that perhaps there is also some optimism, that the story ends as it first began, with a brave child who with imagination might change the world. Well, that's all I have for now, folks. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, share it or whatever if you like, and I hope you had fun. Bye!